we had an opening back in 1990, a sales opening in Indy, and we had about 8 or 10 viable candidates, and we narrowed it down to about 3. When I say we, it was really just myself at the time. And so how do you make the decision? And I think we all can reflect back into some individual in your career that gave you a shot or gave you an opportunity. And I think back to that in my own experience, and how do I make that decision for making this hire? Gary stood out, going back to believability, likability, and trust. He stood out. His infectious laughter, his engagement, he's an active listener. He has keen ability to listen to people's needs. That came out in the interview, and actually the choice was easy. The real answer was Gary said he worked for free, and that put him over the top.
Over the top, exciting, great personality. Really enjoyed being with him. Made everyone feel better about themselves. That's one of the things that I initially took from when I met Gary. I met Gary back in the early 2000s. We were both working at BOC. And I've known him since. Really didn't get to know him as well as I do now until around 2015, 2016, when I started working in the distributor group at what was then Lindy.
I met Gary early on in our distribution days at BOC. About 20 years ago, our relationship really blossomed, and it complements our roles where we're at today.
Gary and I have been friends for in excess of 45 years, starting off in high school, and then we worked very closely together in 2 different industries, multiple companies. So I feel like I'm pretty qualified to speak on him, and that goes all the way back to when we were in entry-level positions with companies all the way to senior leadership over that period of time.
First time we met face-to-face was at a GATA event. Like I said, I was fairly new into the organization, into GATA, was looking to get into GATA leadership a little bit more, looking to get into being more involved. And Gary was working on the industry partnering committee, which is where I entered really into my volunteerism within GATA. And Gary was there to help me along the way.
Gary and I worked together at BOC 20 years ago, and we were both in Bob Van Kirk's group. Gary, shortly after I'd first met him, moved to work with the Brants at Indiana Oxygen. And luckily, I ended up getting his territory, and now I've been calling on him for 16 years.
Gary is a BLT, believability, likability, and trust. Very grounded individual.
Open-minded, enthusiastic, and persistent.
Conscientious, trustworthy, and accountable.
He's devoted. He's devoted to his family, his work, and his faith. Gary's dedicated. He's very dedicated to his mission. And I think probably the most important one would be he's very humble. He's a very easy person to talk to and to relate to.
Creative, driven, and ethical. And the ethical part comes from his strong faith.
Mentorship, he really cares about everyone and wants to encourage and get the best out of everyone that he works with. His passion for the industry and his servant leadership.
So when you talk about servant leadership, Gary doesn't ask anybody to do anything that he won't do himself. And I think by leading by example, that's the #1 trait that you want to follow Gary. Going back to sports analogies, he's our franchise quarterback, and people want to work for leaders, follow leaders, and take that into our future.
The thing about Gary is he's a great judge of character, and that's most important when you're building a team. And I'm sure the team that he builds is going to bring dynamic ideas to the membership.
I think it comes back to his tremendous ability to listen and to gain consensus with those around him. So Gary very seldom makes a decision without talking to a lot of people and engaging with a lot of people, and truly understanding what their motives are and wishes are, and building consensus around that and strategy around that. So I think every voice will be heard, and his leadership will take it to the next level.
It's easy to see Gary is deeply religious, and he's committed to that faith. But also when I talk about faith, he has faith in people. Right? He has faith that people can be the best, and he encouraged them to be the best. If there was a point in time that, boy, you're down and out, you needed a friend, a person that you can call on, you'd be very lucky if that person was Gary Halter that was on the other end of the line. Truly, we're blessed to have Gary as part of our organization at Gauda.
He and I, over our career, have gone back and forth on which role we were in that got one of us ahead of the other one in our capability. We would always talk about, I think I've got a little bit of a gap on you, or he'd say, I think I got a little bit of gap on you because of this. And I think it's obvious because of this great honor, Gary, that gap's widened, and you're leading. So congratulations.
One thing I like really cherish about Gary is once he sets his mind to something and establishes a goal, he figures out the best way to get there and supports the people that are working with him to reach that mutual goal. Put together a short PowerPoint presentation. It's 128 slides. The problem is that it only covers the first year of Gary's life, so I don't think we have enough time to go through all of them.
Gary, congratulations on the presidency. I can't wait to see that presidential banner hanging in your office. And I certainly know that Kathy, Courtney, Tyler, and Emma are so proud of you. Thanks for being a good friend.
Gary, congratulations. I can't think of a person that's any better qualified and that's going to give it all he's got and who's going to succeed. You've done it in everything you've done, and I know you're going to hit it out of the park with Gauda. Congratulations.
Gary, my one piece of advice for you is to just be yourself. Don't change anything you've done. Continue to have fun. Continue to be the leader and visionary that you are. Just an engaging person in leading the next year. That's going to be an exciting and challenging year for Gauda and each individual company.
Gary, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've done for me in this industry and will continue to do. I want to let you know you have my full support, and I wish you the utmost success, and congratulations on being the next president of Gauda.
This is the right time, this is the right place for a person like you, Gary. You have all the tools, you have the knowledge, you have the capacity to be a great leader that I know that you will be. Good luck in 2023 and 2024 as being the next president of Gauda.